One of the decisions that you're going to need to make if you self-publish or independently publish your books is what formats will you publish your books in? And this is something that I think we don't always talk about, but it's so important to think through. Now, I recommend that most all of you at least publish your book in an ebook and a print format. Now, if your book is selling well, or if you have an audience that really likes listening to audiobooks, then I encourage you to add the audiobook version as well. For example, my friend Shay Bynes, the founder of Kingdom Driven Entrepreneur, has found that her audience tends to buy audiobooks more often than even Kindle or print books. And that's because entrepreneurs are super busy and a lot of them listen to books while they're commuting, while they're exercising. However, with my audience, I haven't had as many sales in the audiobook as I have in ebook and print. So you have to know your audience too, if that is a good format for them. You can also publish your book in other languages and other translations. My book, 21 Prayers of Gratitude, is in Spanish, and that has sold actually pretty well. And then I haven't translated other books, but you want to consider, if you're going to have a book translated, consider using one of your best-selling books. And then the other thing you may want to consider is large print. And so, if your audience is an audience that buys large print books, that's something that you can publish as well. So there's many options, but knowing your audience, also knowing your budget, knowing your time constraints, everything takes a little bit of extra time. And, knowing kind of what your main goals are important as you get started. But having your book in multiple formats just allows your reader to be able to choose which format works best for them. So as we're talking about this, I thought it would be great to share a case study from one of our Christian Book Academy members, Teresa Mills. She found that a certain format for her book ended up selling way better than another format. And for instance, with my book, Broken Crayons Still Color, we sell a ton of books in print, but not as many in ebook. And that's because people use that book for groups. They buy them for a group study and they want to have the book in their hand. So anyways, I want to introduce you to our Christian Book Academy member, Teresa, and share her case study with you. And as you're listening, I want you to be thinking through and praying and asking God which formats would be best for your book and your audience. So enjoy this case study. Welcome, everyone. My name is Shelly Hitz, and I'm here today with Christian Book Academy member Teresa Mills. Welcome, Teresa.
Thanks. Good to be here.
And I'm so excited to feature you today. You've been in the Academy for years, and we've known each other. We actually met at face-to-face conferences, and it was just a fun time just getting to know you over the years. You've come to one of our writing retreats in Colorado. And so, it's just been fun to watch your progress. But how many books do you have published now?
Books, I have 8 published.
Wow, 8 books. And
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the genre that you write in currently and just your process of getting those 8 books published.
Sure. I write nonfiction, children's travel books, and I'll be glad to.
Yeah, show
I
us.
I have 7 of them here, but they all sort of. I was very fortunate with my branding, and they all sort of look the same. So that's been really nice and a nice feature. So I chose this because I've always traveled with my kids and grandkids now. And this is just a way for kids to learn about a different location, even if they're not traveling there. Traveling, not traveling, just learn a little bit more about a new place.
Yeah. And so even like during COVID and, the pandemic and all of this, the travel industry is taking a hit, but then you're finding that there are still like homeschool, communities
Right.
and teachers and people like that are buying your books to teach their kids about these places, even if they're not traveling to those places, right?
That's right. That's been a nice detour
Yeah.
from last year.
Yes, because the travel industry definitely took a hit. But I think when you joined the academy, you'd already had some of your books in Kindle format. And
Yes.
then we ran a challenge to get, Kindle books into print format. And, you jumped right in and tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that process.
So I had the book about Washington, D.C. in Kindle format, and I wanted to do more books, and I was really, really intrigued by your community, the community you were building at the time. And then with the I think it was called the Kindle to Print Challenge. And so it was take the book that was in Kindle format and bring it into a print format. And I mean, that was mind blowing for me. And it was a game changer because it turns out my books sell a whole lot more print versions than they do ebook versions. I didn't know that at the time, and I was astounded. Even today, even though I advertise both the Kindle and the print version, still the print version is 95% of what I sell.
Yeah, and I find that really insightful. So, there's, different writers and authors listening right now, and sometimes you just never know whether your book is going to sell in a certain format more than in another, and I think we were talking earlier, and Teresa, you said, I might have given up had I not put my books in print.
Yeah, if I looked back at my sales, and even now, if I just looked at Kindle sales, it would have been enough to say this is not going to work. This is not going to take off. I'm doing something else.
Yeah, and I have a friend, Shay Bynes. She works primarily with entrepreneurs. Her books sell really well in audio format because entrepreneurs are busy, and so they're listening. And so sometimes you just never know, and that's why it is good to have your books in different formats. My book, Broken Crayon Still Color, by far sells much better in print because people buy it for groups. So right. I think that's really a valuable little tip is, don't give up. If you just have your book in one format,
that's right.
Try it in other formats. And then I love what you said earlier about your covers, because your covers are very similar. So this is a series, and just, it's a little tip of like, you can actually take a similar cover and change the colors, some of the images, that sort of thing, have them look very similar, but you don't have to completely redo a book cover every single time.
Right. And that's, I've had other people have commented, I immediately know this is one of your books, but they all look the same. Just
and I
colors.
love that. I love that you've established that really good branding and all of that. But once you have your books published, the next part is then marketing them, right?
That's right.
And you've really taken a dive into learning Amazon ads. And a lot of authors are either nervous about it because they're afraid they're going to pour money into it and just not get anything out of it, or it is just intimidating, all the technical stuff. Share with us a little bit about your experience with Amazon ads.
Sure. So I had tried Amazon ads before the pandemic hit and the travel industry took a dive and had to just sort of reset. So, through a series of events and things that have happened personally, I decided that 2021 was just going to be sort of a year of learning and sort of digging back down into Amazon ads and figuring out how I can pull my books from being just travel based to other areas, other arenas. And that's what we alluded to earlier with homeschoolers and teachers. And so Amazon ads allowed me to do that through targeting other categories, not just the categories that my book might be in, through advertising and keywords and other categories. So that, in addition to advertising with Amazon ads in the travel industries, has brought my books back up into selling again.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, I encourage anyone to give Amazon ads a try. They're not as scary as or intimidating as they might be, as they might seem. I mean,
Yeah. And, I think we were talking a little bit before this about, there's different types of marketing that, different authors like. And so, you don't have to do just one thing. There's paid advertising like the Amazon ads. There's free organic marketing like social media. There's partnerships and, partner marketing. And so there's many different ways. You don't have to try Amazon ads, but I really highly recommend it.
I do
Part
too.
of your marketing plan.
Yes, and the marketing minutes that are part of Christian Book Academy have been stellar for me last part of this year.
Yeah. The mini marketing messages kits.
Yes.
Is that where you're? Yeah. Yeah. Because those are
Yes.
templates that you can use. And even if you're not a huge person into wanting to spend a lot of time on social media, it gives you a way to easily create some content and get some momentum going there on social media without having it to control you. Right.
That's right. So that's been nice this year.
Yeah. And so Amazon ads, it's something that you don't have to, go on podcast interviews. You're not having to be on social media. It's a little more behind the scenes. It does require a learning curve, but once you really start learning what's working, what's not, it can really benefit your book. And for those of you that maybe don't want to do all those other forms of marketing, it can be a great place for you. But I just am so excited for you, Teresa. I know there's just so much still ahead for you. But if people want to get in touch with you or they're interested in your books for their kids or grandkids or homeschool, communities, how do they find out more about you?
Sure. All my books are listed on my website, and the website is kidfriendlyfamilyvacations.com.
So kidfriendlyfamilyvacations.com. And again, we mentioned earlier, they're good both for if you are going on a vacation or if you want to just learn about these locations. But thank you so much for sharing part of your journey and all those 8 books that you've birthed so far and just some of the things that you've learned along the way.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for being here. And we hope that you're inspired to go and write, publish, and market your books.